Eclipses are the examples of formation of shadows in nature. We know that when an opaque object comes in the path of light, it blocks the light and casts its shadow. Now, the sun is a luminous object, or it is the source of light. Both the moon and the earth are non-luminous objects which become visible when sunlight falls on them. The earth moves around the sun and the moon moves around the earth. When the sun, the moon and the earth comes in a straight line, then the one which is in between blocks the light of the sun and casts its shadow on the other. Like if the moon comes in between the sun and the earth, moon casts its shadow on the earth. Similarly, if the earth comes in between the sun and the moon, then it casts its shadow on the moon. Thus, two kinds of eclipses are there: lunar eclipse, that is, the eclipse of the moon, and solar eclipse, which is the eclipse of the sun. Lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse falls on a certain full moon night when the earth comes in between the sun and the moon. Then the earth casts its shadow on the moon. Now, as we know that there are two parts in a shadow, umbra and penumbra. So, you can see this portion. It is completely dark. No light from the sun reaches this region. It is the umbra. If the moon lies in this portion, then it will be completely invisible. Thus, it causes total lunar eclipse. Now, look at these portions, which are in the sideways. These portions are not completely dark. Some amount of light is reaching in these parts of the shadow from the sun. It is the penumbra. If the moon is in the penumbra of the earth, only a part of the moon will be visible, which is getting some light from the sun. It is called as partial lunar eclipse. Thus, lunar eclipse is caused when the earth comes in between the sun and the moon. Solar eclipse. Solar eclipse falls on a certain new moon day. When the moon comes in between the sun and the earth, it blocks the light from the sun and casts its shadow on the earth, which causes solar eclipse. Now, again you can see the two parts of the shadow, umbra and penumbra, the areas which lies in this region, that is the umbra. For these areas the sun will be completely invisible, as no light from the sun is reaching in this region. So, the people living in these areas will experience a total solar eclipse where no sun will be visible to them. Now, for the people living in these areas, you can see here the less bright region. Those who lives in these region will be able to see the sun partially, as they are receiving some amount of light from the sun. Therefore, they will experience a partial solar eclipse where some part of the sun will be obstructed from the moon. So, it will be seen as a cut down portion. Okay, this portion, the sun will not be complete. Some portion of the sun will be dark in partial solar eclipse. For the part where the tip of the umbra falls, you can see here that the point at this point where the tip of the umbra is falling, that region on the earth will witness an annular solar eclipse. In annular solar eclipse, the sun looks like a ring of fire. It is also called as diamond ring, means only the outer rim of the sun which is called as corona. It will be visible, while rest of the sun will be completely obstructed by the moon. So you can see here in this picture, in annular solar eclipse, the sun looks like this. It is just looking like a diamond ring. So this is the annular solar eclipse. Therefore, solar eclipse occurs when the moon comes in between the sun and the earth.